Hi there, everybody. Thank you very much, Belen. I'm just going to share my screen with you. So let's just try this. Okay. Can everyone see that? Hopefully, yes. My name's Jason Dane. I'm the publisher and the features editor of a publication called Energy Storage Report. No prizes for guessing that we focus on the energy storage industry. We've been following it now for about 4.5, 5 years, tracking different developments. And what I want to do very quickly before I pass over to the real experts on the panel is just give you a little bit of insight and an overview, in fact, of how battery storage is trending in costs, which I think is very important for all of us. It's the sort of thing that hopefully will help you make up your minds as to whether now's a good time to be looking at this technology or not. And then the other panelists will go into more detail around deployment options and real life experience. As I say, I've been tracking this particular area for a number of years now as the main writer on energystorage-report.info. And one of the things we noticed is that when we started looking at battery storage, there wasn't really much of it associated with solar. There were things like frequency responses being used and so on and so forth. What we have seen is increasingly uptake in residential markets, beginning with Germany and more latterly Australia. And around about a year ago, we started to see interest from solar installers at large-scale projects, thinking about the option of including battery storage, really to add extra flexibility to their plants, particularly at a time when things like the generous feed-in tariffs in Europe were beginning to run out, and there was a need to perhaps cater more specifically to the utility customers and try and come up with ways of providing a more flexible resource from the solar plants that are being built. So, as I say, I don't want to spend too much time today. I just want to go quickly through some of the current trends in pricing and see how that may have an impact on your decision as to whether to adopt storage or not. We don't have really much reference material on storage pricing at large scale in most markets, but one thing I can share with you is, oops, go back here. This chart here shows very quickly battery costs for residential storage tied with solar most often in Australia. This is actually from a publication called Solar Quotes. And what they've done is they've run all the different numbers to show that if you have a battery and they've worked out that basically the cost per total warranted kilowatt hour. This is in Australian dollars and it assumes 1 cycle per day. Most of these battery systems are without an inverter. So it's pretty much an apples for apples comparison, as I say, in Australian dollars. But what you'll notice here is I've also marked on the chart roughly the price of a €1 level and the $1 level to give you those US dollar level to give you those comparisons. And also further down the chart, you'll see hopefully there's a yellow line at the bottom, which is the current levelized cost of energy for diesel, roughly speaking, about 50 cents of a dollar in Australia. Couple of things to notice here. First of all, you see that Tesla remains one of the very cheap options there. The other thing to note is that pretty much all of these batteries are lithium ion. Now that's more to do with the residential market than anything else, although lithium ion does make up a massive amount of the total installed and available battery capacity right now. There is one battery in this selection here, which is actually a flow battery, Redflow's Z cell, and that one is again below the cost of diesel. You have many more options when you go to a sort of a larger installation. There are different vendors that offer different chemistries. But just to say that lithium ion remains the most interesting one from a price perspective right now. And there are reasons why it's going to remain like that. And I'll just quickly run through this. This is some research from Bloomberg New Energy Finance released last year. It shows cumulative energy storage deployment by geography, but it's essentially these are global figures. It's a typical curve, the hockey stick curve that we all like to see when we're looking at growth up to 2024. And you'll see that currently 1.9 gigawatt or 2.9 gigawatts installed last year, rising to 45 gigawatts of deployment in 2024. Now, bearing in mind that battery costs are very closely related to deployment levels and to quantity, this is similar, same as with the solar market. This is a very important trend. You'll see this sort of figures elsewhere, but what's important is we think that this actually massively underestimates what's going to happen in reality. And the reason for that is another piece of research that also came out of Bloomberg New Energy Finance around about the same time from a different division looking at second life battery availability. This came out of their EV department, and what they were looking at there is as electric vehicles start to take off around the world, what's going to happen with the old batteries that come out of those cars? Those batteries can still be used for stationary storage, and their cost is about a quarter of a new battery. Now, if you look at the volumes here, I won't go into the detail, but there are significant numbers of second life batteries coming onto the market from about 2020. And those batteries have not been factored into the research that's been done by other groups. So one of the things that we've done, which is pretty straightforward, is we've taken those second life battery volumes and we've added them onto the figures that you just saw from Bloomberg New Energy Finance. What you see is this. From 2020, you see those red parts of the column start to add on to the overall level of deployment capacity. And those, as I say, are very, very cheap batteries coming onto the market. So I guess my point is right now, battery storage is very much competitive with diesel in many places. If you look at what's going to happen very soon, every trend says it's going to get a lot cheaper because of the deployment volumes. But we think that within 3 years, another factor is going to be coming in, impacting on that. And actually, batteries, as we've seen with solar, are going to become a very, very much commodity item. This is going to be very similar to what everybody who's in solar has experienced, which is the crash of pricing, which then leads to much more cost-effective projects. And I guess, in a sense, a bigger excuse for you to look into why you should be deploying it. That's the overview. I don't want to take up much more time because I know we've got a lot of interesting speakers, but I'll hand back to Belen for now. And thanks for your time today. Look forward to taking any questions a bit later on.
Thank you very much, Jason. Okay, just a reminder for everybody, you can send us questions and answers through the little box on the lower side on the toolbar. There is a Q&A that you can use, or you can email me. My email is belen.gallego@ata.email. I'll put it up really quickly so that you can see it. Just right there. My email is right here in this corner. Right, feel free to email here, and what I'll do is I'll pull all of the questions, okay, and I'll make sure that as much as possible with the time we have in the end, then we can actually run. For now, I'd just like to hand over the speaking floor to Valts. Please, Valts, if you unmute your microphone, please, and you share your screen. Thank you.
Yep. Hey everyone, thanks Belen. Yeah, I'll just share my screen. Bear with me. Hopefully everyone can see the screen just now. So hi everyone, my name is Valts. I work as a lead analyst for the Energy Storage Research Service for Delta Energy and Environment. And in my presentation, I'll focus on some of the key findings we have seen from our research, looking at larger scale PV with storage and markets where it is already being deployed and already makes financial sense. But first, I'll just introduce you to Delta briefly. So we're a research and consulting company with offices in Edinburgh and Cambridge, as well as associates across Europe, in US and Asia. And the key thing we do is help our clients to navigate the transition from old energy to new energy, so from centralized carbon-intensive commodity sales focused energy towards more distributed, low carbon, service oriented energy. And as you can see from the circle diagram on the slide, we have a wide range of areas of focus, areas of expertise. And right at the center of it is energy storage and microgrids, both of which quite heavily focus on energy storage and use of energy storage with PV. And just to go back to the presentation, just to give you an overview of how we see PV and storage coming together. When it comes to the technology, currently the market is primarily focused on using lithium-ion technologies for applications with PV. However, there is emerging interest in flow batteries as a longer duration solution for use with PV. And while storage technology is important, the actual financial viability of the project is currently determined by other factors like the location and the application of storage within this project. So as the key markets emerging for large-scale PV in batteries, we see Australia, Canada, France, South Africa, US, and the UK. And I'll give you a bit more insights on some of these markets later on. And as the key applications we see, so islanded grids or microgrids, as Jason mentioned previously, PV and batteries are already becoming cost competitive with diesel. Additionally, renewable energy integration, as well as the need to expand PV capacity. So in areas where grid constraints do not allow, or grid constraints are in place and do not allow expanding your PV capacity, you can use storage as an enabler to do that. And just to give some examples, so UK, a market where there's a lot of talk about storage. However, economics for large-scale PV with storage still don't stack up. There is growing interest, and the market is currently driven by some microgrid, islanded grid projects, as well as, especially in southwest of England, expansion of renewable energy or renewable generation capacity, so PV capacity, and using storage to enable to do this. But actually the key driver in the UK is using storage as a asset, basically enables customers to use storage to participate in ancillary services, so frequency response, and just using the location of PV as a grid connection point for these assets. Secondly, France, also a very interesting market in Europe, very different from the UK. Primarily, again, applications for storage come from French islands and non-interconnected zones, where renewables need to be integrated into a microgrid. And as you can see, approximately 60% of those projects have also installed battery storage. And there's also recently been launched a French island tender for additional PV capacity installed, and we expect to see more storage coming into these projects as well. So as you can see in France, this shows that PV and storage is a great solution to help stabilize the grid, to help enable microgrid use, and it is already cost competitive. And lastly, Australia, one of the markets that we've been researching recently, and again, a lot of news about this, specifically South Australia, Victoria, and we see this as a emerging leading market for grid-scale PV plus storage. We already see more than 50% of the projects to include a combination of PV and storage. As you can see, two key applications really are microgrid capability, which is primarily from the west coast of Australia, where grid is more islanded, but also Australia has the unique opportunity to actually renewable energy integration to make financial sense. So we see quite a few projects in the pipeline of large PV, large storage to take place because of the unique grid constraints across the South Australia, Victoria, Queensland, as well as the quite ambitious renewable energy targets that the country has, and also expected close downs of brown coal power plants that need to have capacity displaced. I guess, yeah, I'll stop here. Happy to answer any questions you have. If you don't manage to ask a question during this webinar, feel free to get in touch with me or my team to discuss any questions you might have about energy storage as well as microgrids. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Valts.
Thanks.
Thank you. You can switch off your microphone now. And Burak, this is your time.
Yes. Thank you, Belen. I'll be sharing my presentation now. I hope everybody will be able to see it. Okay, can you see it already? Okay, hello everybody. First of all, thank you, Jason. Thank you, Valts, for the nice presentations. It's a great point for me to take over. I'm Burak Türker. I'm a sales solution engineer within Unicos sales division, and I'd like to provide you some insights on some real life experiences today and how Unicos is integrating itself in the PV plus storage business. Before I continue, let's just have a look at Unicos. Unicos at a glance, founded in 2005. Unicos is a market leader in providing intelligent storage solutions worldwide. We got over 150 megawatts of storage, battery energy storage installed worldwide. That's 37 projects, and we're based in Berlin, Germany, and also Austin, Texas, USA, where we have state-of-the-art technology centers as well to conduct battery research and integration work. So if we look at the PV plus storage topic, I just wanted to put this question there: why do we need that S in this PV plus S PV plus S area? So we got different options here, and I think Valts pointed out to the fact that microgrids is currently the most important topic around the PV plus storage. So these are some of the things I wanted to list, such as reducing curtailment. This is typical in a microgrid environment that PV, but not only PV, but also wind generation needs to be curtailed often due to the variable nature of the renewable generation sources. So a battery can definitely help here and reduce curtailment. But there's another thing which is now becoming more and more obvious in grid-connected systems, where PV generators can increase self-consumption by utilizing a battery. This is important where in places where feed-in tariffs are taking a hit and PV feed-in prices are getting lower and lower. By increasing self-consumption, the generators can tackle this problem. It's also possible to achieve higher renewable energy shares by shutting down fossil fuel generators. These could be backup generators on grid-connected systems, or again, baseload generators at microgrid environments. Another important thing is ramp rate improvements, which is typically the problem for DSOs and TSOs. The PV power plants have a variable nature, intermittent nature, and therefore they create disturbances oftentimes for the grid and for the operators. This is becoming a problem. So a battery energy storage system can help here significantly, coping up with these ramp rates of PV and tackling the disturbances in the grid. And finally, we got demand shifting and peak shaving. This is typical for commercial and industrial users where they also have PV on site. They can basically use their PV generators to charge their batteries and use this energy during high demand hours or when the grid charges are high. And another way of doing this is doing energy arbitrage, just charging their batteries with cheap generation from the PV and selling it to the grid when the prices are high. So in which setup is PV plus storage relevant? Then we can summarize it as microgrids, which is the most typical one and kind of most established one. And then the grid-connected small-scale PV. This could be residential, but also it could be a CNI user having PV on site as well. And then there's the grid-connected large-scale PV. Here we're talking about like sites of 2-3 megawatts, maybe tens of megawatts of PV farms, where a battery can actually help with ramp rate control. And finally, again, the CNI space, if CNI user also has, let's say, PV on site. So here I'd like to show you one example from a typical UNICOS hybrid system on an island system, where we were able to achieve, by using a battery power plant, higher renewable energy penetration in a microgrid environment. So in this setup, diesel generator only is responsible for grid stability normally, and when the renewable energy supply exceeds a certain threshold, it has to be curtailed, and therefore on the specific island, the total consumption or total consumption from renewable energy sources was limited to 50% only. With the battery then could take over the role of supplying grid stability instead of the diesel generator. And in times of high renewable energy supply, diesel generator could be switched off. And this leads to, of course, to lower curtailment, higher renewable energy penetration, and accordingly lower diesel consumption, and therefore savings from diesel and savings from O&M costs, lubrication oil costs for the diesel generator, as well as, of course, reduced CO2 emissions. This is our typical, this is one of our most important projects right now, about to be commissioned this year. It's the Graciosa Battery Park in Portugal, island of Graciosa. Here we integrated a 4 megawatt, 3.2 megawatt hour lithium-ion battery, and to be utilized for exactly the reasons I explained in the previous slide. So it's providing grid stability, voltage and frequency control to the grid, and substituting the diesel. UNICOS delivered the turnkey battery power plant here, and in the picture you can see the PV power plant and the battery building. On the lower picture you can see the battery building itself. And there is also wind, by the way, on this island. So it's PV plus wind plus storage. And this is now some numbers from that specific installation with a load, a typical load of 3 megawatts, which is 12.85 gigawatt hours of energy in the year, and expected load growth of 1% per year. The system we provided is expected to have a project IRR of 11% in a base case scenario. So this can be improved in more optimistic scenarios. And the payback period would be less than 15 years. And here to note that it's almost 2.4 million liters of diesel saved per year for the client, for the grid operator of the island, and also 6,300 tons of CO2 avoided per year. So this microgrid solution integrated on this island, utilized on this island, is highly competitive against the current diesel-based systems, which actually Jason and Valls also pointed out. Of course, microgrids are not the only way of actually utilizing a PV plus storage setup. This is another system we installed in San Antonio, Texas. This is a PV power plant. The client was OCI Solar Power in the US, and you can see here our Y-Cube energy storage, battery energy storage product. It's an all-in-one product with the battery cells, the inverter, and you can see the HVACs and everything. And it's in a 10-foot container. You can here see actually 2 of them connected to this solar farm of the client. This system is providing capacity, frequency control, and also ramp rate control to the client. And it's a 1 megawatt, 15-minute system, and it's generating additional revenue for the client, for OCI Power, via capacity payments and energy arbitrage, which I mentioned in an earlier slide. So this would be my last slide. I tried to give you 2 examples of PV plus storage, one in a microgrid environment and one in a CNI environment, or let's say a PV plus storage in a utility scale installation. And I'm happy to answer your questions and keep on the discussion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Burak. There is a specific question here for you that I just thought you could maybe answer. It says the payback period of 15 years, does it refer to the entire system or only to the added batteries? So if you just answer that quickly, because it's very specific, it's a yes or no.
The payback is for the entire system, so including the additional installed PV and wind.
Okay. Excellent. So just to make sure that everybody knows, okay, I've seen a few of your questions have been regarding the fact that whether we're going to share with you presentations and the videos, and yes, we will share everything with you. You should receive them next week with the email that you've signed up. So if you have signed up and we have your details, you will get everything, okay?
I can see some questions here, I think, directed to me.
So we still have one panelist, so please, Burak, if you don't mind switching off your mic.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, and now, Oscar, if I can have Oscar's presentation up. And Oscar, are you ready for your presentation? Just on slide 1, please.
Yeah, I'm here. So thank you very much, everybody, for attending this webinar today. My talk's gonna go on utility scale PV with energy storage systems. So I'm trying to bring you a kind of forecast on what we think could be market in the upcoming years on this sense. So representing ATL Renewables, I'm CEO and partner of the company. So our company is structured in 4 business units. One of those is advisory, the others are engineering, certification, and insights, which is actually organizing this webinar. So in advisory, we've been for more than 12 years already, providing advisory to international firms, international projects, more than 21 gigawatts all over the world. And most of that experience we have developed is in PV. So we've noticed, following the discussion Jason was bringing before in his presentation, we've noticed a huge interest in our customers in the last year and a half on what could be potential solutions of a utility scale PV with batteries. That's coming recently to the equation, since PV has come down, PV prices has come down. They have come down really quick in the last couple of years. So now we're seeing some really low prices that brought the attention to some forward-thinking people trying to rethink or innovate on the business models using those kind of batteries. In particular, on the values of the storage, we've got the talk coming from Burak, and he's addressed these applications already, so I won't spend much time in here. So I was just to point out that markets moving from centralized generation to distributed generation, this will take a few years or even decades, but what we're foreseeing is that utility applications will be much more frequent for those PV with storage in the upcoming years. So we have included here a projection from Navigant Research that shows that most of the installed capacity related to energy storage will be on the utility side. Moving to my next slide, we've shown here an optimistic figure. So I'm a really optimistic guy. So I'm bringing you an optimistic figure. It's really much higher though than that picture, that graph was shown before, sourced by Bloomberg. But we really think this is going to happen. So PV, we are seeing in the last couple of years our customers increasing the projects, coming more and more to our doors. So we forecast that batteries will be part of those projects, and those projects are really in exponential growth. So we really think that storage will be a tsunami in the following 5 to 10 years, definitely. So when it comes to technology, and that was another discussion we've had before, lithium-ion seems to be the winner as of today, despite there are some other options such as flow batteries that come to place as well. We'll see in the next years if this picture changes, but we really believe that prices are coming down, or will be coming down, as they have come down in the last 4 years. So I remember in 2013, 4 years ago, when we were working for PREPA, for the utility in Puerto Rico. We've been working hand by hand with them since 2010, developing the minimum technical requirements and advising some customers in the island in how meeting those technical requirements that use energy systems, storage systems to meet those. The prices of a container with 1 megawatt and 420 kilowatt hours were in the range of $1 million, which included roughly around $200,000 corresponding to the power system, and the remaining 800 to 850 was the container and batteries. That price has come down as of today to mostly a half. So really today we're talking about prices on power batteries around $1 a watt hour and around half $1 a watt hour for energy applications. So what do we see in the market? So we've seen quite a few projects implementing power applications for PV utility size plants in the last couple of years, 3 years, starting from Hawaii, following Puerto Rico, Australia, some islands, and now we're foreseeing an interest increasing on the utility side, but in energy shifting. So I'm bringing you here a couple of news. First, can you bring, Carlos, the slide before? 2 slides before. Number 6, the one before. Number 6. So Tesla has announced a couple of weeks ago that they have commissioned a power plant with 13 megawatts and 4 hours storage, so they can do shifting. They can deliver energy 5 to 10 p.m. the whole energy they are producing during the day, they are shifting it, and they are feeding into the grid in the late afternoon. So, and that's coming with a price of 13.9 cents. So that's really far below our numbers we had in our mind years ago. So that's coming closer to be competitive to other kind of dispatchable energies, let's say. So let's keep moving. Next slide. Elon Musk has announced last week, has issued a challenge to the South Australian government, saying he can solve the state energy goods with a 100 megawatt-hour battery within 100 days. So that's also come into place. They have completed an installation of 80 megawatt-hour in the last few months for the utility in California, $100 million. So that comes to $0.8 a watt-hour. Next slide, please. And the last, I wanted to bring your attention on a deal was published a couple of months ago in January, I think, related to a PPA with a Hawaii utility on a 100 megawatt-hour facility, 20 megawatt nominal for a 28 megawatt peak facility, photovoltaic facility. So that's coming, 4-hour storage as well with 11 cents. So that sounds like amazing, right? So we'll see. Is this possible? I mean, for sure, Hawaii, they have the ITC, so that helps, definitely. But we wanted to do, last slide, a number with another plant that has come like a reference in the last months in the discussions in every Congress, in every event, on which is DWAS project, 100 megawatt in the Emirates, coming with a surprising price around $3 a kilowatt hour for the term. And is this possible? I mean, from our experience in large projects, mostly in Chile, in Mexico, and in the Middle East, we think these numbers, these numbers they can meet, definitely. So we simulated the same base case for the DWAS project. We tried to bring you the number on how the plant will perform in terms of energy price if we bring a lithium-ion current market system to it. So the numbers, when we go for a power battery, for applications such as frequency control, 10% brown control, frequency regulation, voltage control, quite similar to those MTR requirements of Puerto Rico. We are surprised that it's just come as a few additional cents, so it comes to 3.5 cents over the term. And the more when we move towards energy batteries, we've simulated 1, 2, 3, 4 hours of shifting, 1 hour of storage will go with the price of roughly 5 cents, 7 cents for 2 hours, and surprisingly, for 4 hours, it comes below 10. So with today's technology, we can make perfectly an 800 megawatt facility with a 4-hour storage system with shifting capabilities. I mean, fully shifting capabilities below 10 cents. So those numbers really bring to our minds that we might be able to compete with many other dispatchable energies as of today. So this is just the conclusion of my talk. So if you have any question, just feel free to make them right away. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Oscar. Okay, I hope that you all got that. I know that you have very little time with that last slide, but I repeat again, you're going to get all of the presentations. You're going to get also the video. So, you know, anything that you want to check again, you can. So now what we're going to do is actually I'm going to allow Jason to take the floor again and maybe ask a couple of questions to the panelists. Those questions are going to come from the Q&As that you guys have shared with us on the Q&A box, and anything else that comes to mind. We don't really have a lot of time. We have about just under 10 minutes, perhaps 8 minutes, so we want to keep them short. Yeah, Jason, go for it.
Thank you, Belen, and thank you very much also to all the panelists. I hope everybody who's listening in today is getting plenty of value. I certainly am. We've had a whole load of questions come in. I've been trying to answer a few on text. Hopefully you've been seeing some of the answers. One that did come in for me specifically, but I'd like to throw it over to probably Valts or Burak or maybe even Oscar, was around the performance of second life batteries and whether this performance of a battery that's already been used in an electric vehicle would be, even after reconditioning, would prevent it from being used in things like ramp rate control or frequency response. Now, I don't have the technical skills myself. I'm not aware of anybody who's shying away from using second life batteries in those circumstances. But I don't know if Burak or Valts or Oscar may have a view as to whether they're, you know, having a second life battery means you can't use it for specific, you know, applications.
Okay, you want to go, Valts, or you want me to answer?
I can give my view very quickly. I think from my experience, specifically about frequency response, I think obviously there are battery characteristics, or battery in terms of lifetime, and obviously the degradation of batteries that limit the lifetime of the batteries. But from this aspect of providing frequency response, even though there's an example in UK where a company is pushing forward a product with second life batteries that would be used to provide ancillary services, so frequency response. So I don't see a limitation in terms of providing frequency response with second life batteries, but obviously in terms of lifetime of the system and other characteristics, there are things to take into account as well. Yeah.
Thanks very much, Valts. That kind of confirms what I've heard from people, is that if anything, the lifespan is maybe compromised, but not necessarily, you know, performance. Once it's reconditioned, I think it can be used in a number of different applications. So thank you for that. I've got a question here for Burak as well. It says, can you share some case studies, for example, where the new PV inverter technologies were involved in the ramp rate problem? Burak, I don't know if you could take that one, perhaps.
Yeah, I mean, I would be able to share, not right now, but I'll be able to share some also our flyers and stuff and our standard. We've done similar studies for PV plus storage systems. Anybody who is interested can contact me, and I'll be happy to further help with such requests.
Okay, there's actually quite a lot of questions here. I noticed for you.
Yeah, I'm trying to answer some of them by text, and yeah.
May I add something to the discussion on the inverters, because from a technical point of view, what we're seeing from I mean, as a technical advisor, is that in a few years ago, containers were projected with their own power system, so the converters for the DC side, and later, I mean, charging into the medium voltage. But we think the tendency it's going to be decentralizing the container systems. So distributing those containers on the plant. So using the same inverter, the same power unit to I mean, the medium voltage cabinets. So there is multiple entrance to the inverters, both the battery system and the modules as well. So decoupling on the one side batteries with a DC-DC converter, and on the other side, the modules with their own MPPT ports. So, but using the same equipment will bring the cost down for facilities. I mean, huge facilities, let's say.
Thanks for that, Oscar. That's very useful. One question here, which I think comes from Nidal Nassar. I think some of our viewers, or maybe quite a number of our viewers, are from the Middle East and North Africa region. So a question for all our panelists: are there any battery storage projects on large scale in the MENA region, Middle East and North Africa? Just over to everyone. Is anyone aware of any at the moment? Maybe we start with Oscar and then move through the others.
Yeah, I can point out two things here. First, you may know that Round 3 government of Jordan has released a request for information, and they are already considering batteries in their responses. So they are thinking on future applications on the batteries. And in a recent meeting I had with the government as well, they pointed out that they were offered 9 cents per facility with batteries. They were unable to tell me specifically how many hours, because that will change the picture for sure. But those 9 cents seems really consistent with the numbers we've shown in our presentation. And we know, because we're working for some customers in that area, I mean, big players, huge players, that they are running numbers for these kind of systems already. So they haven't been announced up to my knowledge as of today, but I'm really sure that in the next couple of years, there will be some really nice announcements, let's say.
Thank you, Oscar. I'm going to move on to another question, so we try and run through these as quickly as possible in the time we've got. Florian asked a question which may be one that Valts or Burak could answer. When and where do you foresee batteries starting to play a role in firming up larger PV or wind plants as opposed to the current grid stability battery tenders in places like the UK? And do you expect this will be driven by storage requirements specified in those tenders or by the introduction of more flexible and market-driven power purchase agreements? Who wants to take that? Is that one for Burak or for Val?
I can take that, and then Valts can maybe comment on it as well. For instance, I would like to start with other countries. In some countries like South Europe, this is coming from TSO and DSO requirements for large PV plants. We're already starting to see that happening. But for UK, I would say maybe in 1.5 to 2 years, and I would say it will come with not through requirements, but as you said, from the market itself through PPAs and stuff. I don't know what Valts thinks about this one.
Valts, you're on mute, but have you got anything to add?
Yeah, I agree with what Burak said. Again, just in a few years' time, we might see this kind of being driven by the market, and as the costs go down, and obviously there is a need of, I guess, in terms of having a more grid-parable PV plant where the intermittency issue is resolved. Storage just will make a lot of sense. So I agree with Burak. Yeah.
Okay. I've got another question here, which is probably for one of you two. Actually, it might be for any of the three of you. It's quite a good one. Can storage be added to existing PV installations, or is it best included at the beginning? Who wants to take this one?
I can give a UK perspective. I think one of the key things or key barriers for in terms of installing PV with the storage on the same site from the regulatory point of view, especially in the UK, where obviously there are issues with double charging, issues with ROCs, CFDs, and how storage affects all of this. So just from the UK example, we see actually more storage being retrofitted to PV and being installed almost on a separate meter to do grid services, while PV still does what it's contractually obligated to generate electricity in the kind of agreement for ROCs. So currently, because of the regulation, we see retrofits, especially in the UK, But as the regulatory issues are being resolved around Europe or across around the world, basically we would see more co-located installations of both PV and storage.
Okay, thanks for that.
I think, Jason, it can be both. I mean, it can be also integrated to existing installations, especially because of the example I gave in my presentation. You know, PV generators were happy with the tariffs, let's say for the last 5-10 years, and all of a sudden tariffs take a hit, and they're looking for a solution to still operate their power plant in a profitable way. So then adding a battery to that existing installation would be then beneficial.
Excellent. No, thank you for that. One here which I like, because although we've spoken about the different sort of situations where you might want to choose battery, we haven't really talked about different options of storage. There has been a few questions around that, but one here which says, what about the development of other types of batteries like metal air? And I'd just like to maybe throw this open. Lithium ion, as we know, is the big contender for battery storage. There are other options when we come to particularly large scale, and I'd maybe just like to get a very quick view from one or two of you around what, you know, how you see these options, because it's quite confusing, I think, to a lot of people coming into the market. So I don't know, Burak, maybe if you want to take that one first, and perhaps we hand over to Oscar or to Valts afterwards.
Yeah, I can talk about metal air batteries a little bit. They are, I mean, they're still, I would say they're still in the research phase, because I know there are problems with charging these type of batteries. It is doable in lab environment, you know, in under certain conditions, but eventually this would be achievable also at in a practical level. But I wouldn't expect it to happen in the next 1.5-2 years.
Does anyone else want to add anything to that, Oscar or Valts?
I can add just a quick note on, obviously lithium-ion technologies are leading because of the scale that they've reached and a lot of interest, but as the industry moves towards more longer use of longer duration batteries, I think flow batteries are well positioned, especially on the longer duration application, so 4 hours, and in this type of use, they can be quite cost competitive with lithium-ion already. So that's one technology that might be in the future might become more used.
Actually, with some of our listeners might be interested to know that at energystorage-report.info, we did some research last year with a flow battery maker called ESS into this whole area of long duration storage plus 4 hours. So if you go to our website, you should be able to find that. If you just do long duration storage search, then you'll find some of the information around that. Question here around system inertia. Who pays for the lack of it? Are you going to continue to supply at 50 or 60 hertz, or are we all going to be transferred off grid? Let's hand this one over.
Before you answer, you guys, just sorry to rain in your parade, but we're really running out of time. So this will be the last question we are able to have. So just keep it.
Okay, thanks for that, Belen. So final question about system inertia. Maybe hand over to Oscar for this one, and then maybe somebody else could pick it up before you finish. Is Oscar there?
Sorry, I didn't get properly the questions, since I had some seconds with the problems with the line. Can you repeat the question?
Yeah. Who pays for the lack of system inertia, and are we able to continue supplying at 50 or 60 hertz, or is there a need to do this sort of stuff off grid?
Well, that I think depends on the system itself. Because from our point of view, we're seeing systems where the operator and the generator are the same unit. They want to take control of everything, and they will charge later on that as a system cost to their stack of costs. And some others are bringing that into the equation of the IPPs. And so that depends definitely on the country and on the system, but for sure somebody will have to pay for it. So we have to account for that in the equation, definitely.
Okay, I think that's it then, Belen. I think we're kind of, time is up, I'm afraid. We've got some final questions left, but maybe we'll try and answer those offline for people. I don't know what the, Belen, would you like to let us know
Yes,
how we...
just like to say, first of all, thank you very much, guys, for helping us today, speakers and sharing your expertise with us. Thank you very much for everybody who's come also to the webinar. We'll, as we said, share this, send you an email. And, we're open to do a series on this. If anyone is interested in perhaps exploring a specific topic, please be in touch and we can study the idea. So thank you very much and hope to see you in the next one.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, thanks.